Make Calcutta relevant again.
You already know.
Relevant again. Make Calcutta relevant again.
You already know.
Relevant again. Make Calcutta relevant.
चाय कैसे लगा?
What a candid start.
What a candid start क्या है यार? मेक कैलकाटा रेलेवेंट अगेन. तुम कलकत्ता आएगा, चाय नहीं पिएगा, चाय के बारे में बात नहीं करेगा.
ये डिफरेंट चाय है लेकिन भाई.
मैं बहुत अच्छा चाय है.
मैं दूध वाला चाय पीता हूँ यूजुअली. मैं क्या होता है, सॉरी, हम चाय पीता है दूध वाला.
हम चाय पीते हैं.
मैं तो बॉम्बे हो गया ना भाई. कैलकाटा इज हम चाय पीता है.
अरे मेरे से तो आता ही नहीं है, हिंदी ठीक से आता ही नहीं है.
हिंदी में बात करो भाई.
नहीं, ये हो गया प्रॉब्लम.
हिंदी में बात करेंगे.
आज का पॉडकास्ट फुल फेल, -10 पॉइंट्स स्टार्टिंग. और
कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
कोई दिक्कत नहीं.
करो, हिंदी में करते हैं.
चलो ठीक है.
लेट्स डू अ हिंदी एपिसोड.
ऑल माई फ्रेंड्स फ्रॉम बिरला हाई स्कूल विल बी वेरी हैप्पी, क्योंकि मैं पढ़ाई तो किया बिरला हाई स्कूल में, फुल मारवाड़ी स्कूल, पर मैं हिंदी नहीं सीखा, उन लोगों को बंगाली सिखा दिया. क्लासिक.
आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन ऑन द नेम ऑफ द पॉडकास्ट,
अच्छा.
which is Make Calcutta Relevant Again. Why the name?
Why the name?
Yeah.
Because polarity is something I really like. Because I've been a debater all my life. Yeah? You have to enter with something that makes people talk. The initial idea was that. Also, it's like a slight, jab at the MAGA campaign. We've all seen that. Make America great again.
Yeah.
So at least एक hook तो है that people already start talking about it immediately. Then obviously it'll be polarizing as a conversation, because people from Calcutta, people from Bengal, they hate the name. Why relevant? Are we not relevant? nahi. We are not as relevant. If we were, then, you can talk. I would like to hear from you. When you're in Bombay, for example, and you're meeting all of these other podcasters, content creators, people from your industry, how many of them are from Calcutta and how many of them are actually repping Calcutta there? Answer me first.
यार तो काफी कम लोग हैं, of course, but that doesn't mean that Calcutta is losing relevance. There is a big difference, I feel. Relevance standpoint is not just how many people are there in which part of the country, from where, repping which city, right? Relevance could very well be you're in the same city and doing great things and people are talking about you.
How many inspirational people have you met in Calcutta on this trip?
On this trip, I came 2 days back here, so I've just been sleeping. So good question, but I have a good answer as well.
अच्छा, तो last trip.
I'm also PR trained.
अरे good. Last trip पे कितना? How many inspirational
Last
people?
trip 2 days.
I'm telling you. यार ज़्यादा. तो अभी तो time spend कर ले, so that we can actually have a debate about this.
So that's the thing, right? मतलब now that I've shifted my base to Bombay, whenever I come to Cal, it's just like 2 days when I'm just spending time with family. That's it. Like there's nothing, no agenda, nothing. Just meeting a couple of friends here and there. Spending time with family and just relaxing and then going back. Because वहाँ apparently सांस लेने का फुर्सत नहीं है.
Apparently. The important point that you raised there, apparently.
हाँ, वहाँ apparently सांस लेने का फुर्सत नहीं है. And as soon as I land, there are calls coming in very randomly. How do they bloody know I'm in Bombay now and work is important? But and that's the thing with Mumbai, yaar. मतलब again Mumbai. When I entered Mumbai, I put up a story saying that, hey guys, I've just come from Calcutta, moved from Calcutta to Bombay. And I said Bombay. Lot of DMs coming to me say, hey, Bombay क्या होता है? Bombay कुछ नहीं होता, it's Mumbai. मैंने कहा, okay.
Same with the whole Calcutta, Kolkata debate,
yeah. They're like, so it's Mumbai because it's named after Mumba Devi.
Yeah.
That's the relevance.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't go that deep. I just say that Bombay is an emotion, Mumbai is a city. Very simple. Like
makes sense. Calcutta is an emotion.
Kolkata is a city, right?
Because we were born in Calcutta, right? I wasn't born in Calcutta or Kolkata. I was born in Bilaspur, but Calcutta is where I grew up. So for me, it will always be Calcutta in my head.
I was not born in Calcutta. I was born in Rajasthan. Then we moved to Calcutta when I was a year old. And then ever since 24 years of my life, I've stayed in the city. Grew up in the city. Went to a convent school, Don Bosco School, Park Circus, for people who are watching. And then went to St. Xavier's for my undergrad. So pretty much all my life I've been in the city, right? And this city, I'd like to know from you about the pace of the city.
Of the pace of the city.
Yeah.
I think self-regulation के लिए अच्छा है. I think for me at least, for Calcutta, because I am very high entropy. I've got way too much energy. I don't know how to conserve all of my energy.
What do you do to so that you have such good energy all the time?
अरे यार, I was born with it. क्या करे अभी?
ये तो आंसर में मजा नहीं आ रहा ना.
अरे तो मजा आने के लिए I'm trying to be truthful here.
Content भी तो निकलना चाहिए.
अरे मैं तो हूँ नहीं content creator. मेरे को सिखा, मेरे लिए तेरा course है कुछ निकाल. Maybe I can become a good content creator. नहीं आ रहा है मेरे से. But because I've always derived a lot of energy from people. I think inherently human beings, they react to the surroundings that they grow up in.
Right.
From when I was in school itself, I've always been in, say quiz club pakad le, debate club pakad le, every activity on the school, every
Oh, you're that
representation.
kind of student.
I'm that. Always top of my class, always, best outgoing student, ye sab, wo sab karke. And I've always been very much, in love with people around me. I really bring, the best version of myself, I think, comes out when people are around me. So that's something that's been constant with me. For me, a city like Calcutta has worked. But again, I say that also from a point of privilege because I have created things around me. Not just for myself, I've created things for people around me. And if you ask anybody in the city who's been in creative industries, who's been in education, in entrepreneurship, whatever, I love building ecosystems. This is something that makes me very happy. I don't like running things. I love building them. So this is who I am, and isme mera energy, that outburst of energy that I have, that works. Short bursts of energy.
What gives you high?
What gives me high? Making people happy. Honestly, इससे ज़्यादा high तो मेरे को कुछ चीज़ से नहीं मिलते. I love building things. I also have ADHD, which I got.
Yeah.
Actually, interestingly, I got diagnosed with ADHD very recently. I didn't know this, and I was, I think, 30. I was past 30 years old. I always knew कि मेरा high energy तो है, but I was in Estonia, in Tallinn. I don't think I've actually ever spoken about this story.
Go for it.
But I was with this guy, Marth Bolke. He's a big educational entrepreneur and, done some very interesting things. He's got 2 kids. One of them has ADHD. I didn't know that at that point. And I'm hanging out. He's my host. So he's been going around with me 3-4 days. So one day, we are sitting and having a beer, I think. And he says, Meghdut, you realize that you have clinical ADHD, right? Like, why would you say that? Almost took it offense. Why would you say that? He said, no, I have kids. One of my kids has ADHD, and I help other parents understand when their kids have ADHD so they can convert it into something that is useful for them.
Okay.
Right? So, and he said something very beautiful. He said, your ADHD, you've kind of figured out a way to convert it into superpower. You have short bursts of energy, and after that you kind of phase out of conversations, which is okay. So if I can keep you into a conversation for half an hour, then I've done a good job. Yeah, I'm happy on that. That's when I realized it's been less than 2 years, and now I work on it in a way that I know I schedule my days in a way that I know I will have bouts of energy and then bouts of dullness. But if I am in some way, I have a huge messiah complex as well. Otherwise, तो ये Make Calcutta Relevant Again ही नहीं होता. I think the whole movement started from, in a way, when did you become the podcast host here? When did this role reversal happen?
This is the energy.
This is the energy. We're playing on your energy now. Up, this is DK's podcast. I'm on the backseat.
Yeah, I'm playing the host.
Yeah, now you're playing the host. But I think the messiah complex also sort of made me realize that if I'm doing things for other people around me, that makes me happy, that keeps me satisfied, that helps me grow. That's why the movement started. The podcast came obviously as an add-on to the movement. And every point of life I'm seeing even now that it comes down to this intrinsic need to save people around me, to do things for other people. So it comes from, that gives me energy. That makes me very happy.
What do you do for yourself?
What do I do for myself? I play a lot of music. I like playing music. I also started doing that with my wife, but again, that also became content. यार अभी कैसे पता
क्या problem है?
अरे problem नहीं
है.
है.
It just seems that you have a problem with the word content and the word creator. Why?
Help me absolve that within myself. I feel like I
need to know the problem for me to give you a solution. So what's the problem?
The problem nahi hai. I think it also comes down to the point of, say, responsibility as a creator. I think in my head, if I have to call myself anything, I need to do full justice to it. I don't think I do justice to, if I were a content creator, I don't think I do justice to it because I don't do it regularly. I don't do it with any plan. There is no strategy behind it. And if it happens, it just happens that a lot of my stuff gets a lot of views.
2 points. One, do you do it for the love of it, or do you do it for the business of it?
बिजनेस तो घंटा होता है इससे, मेरे से तो नहीं होता है.
तो प्यार से करो ना भाई.
प्यार से ही तो कर रहे हैं.
तो फिर तो कंटेंट
कभी कभी करते तो हो एक्सीडेंटल
शॉक हो गया.
एक्सीडेंटली. हां ठीक है.
पॉडकास्ट इज अ ग्रेट वे टू. मेरे को मजा आता है यार.
मजा आता है.
मेरे को बहुत मजा आता है.
Always enjoyed it.
हाँ यार, मैं I got into content. Funny story, I got into content because I was pursuing CA. And Calcutta का बड़ा वो है कि Calcutta commerce CA. मतलब ये is just if you've taken commerce in Calcutta and if you're from Calcutta, chances are you will pursue either CA or CS. CS being company secretary, not computer science.
I mean, computer science for me.
but CS for
CS,
commerce. So I'm like, so I started doing CA and I was like, bunch of people, 70 people in my class in St. Xavier's, 65 of them doing CA with BCom. And I'm like, I was a part of the 5 people who was not doing the CA initially, but I was like, am I the dumb one who's not understood that CA needs to be done with BCom, or are they smarter people? 65 of them. I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I started doing it, unfortunately, but so I started doing it, and then first time when I gave the exam, which was CPT, which was now called Foundation, I cleared it again, unfortunately. And that's when. So the thing with CA courses, it's the entry becomes very easy, and the exit is very difficult. And I wasn't enjoying the course. I wasn't enjoying what I was studying, and I then realized that then I don't want to do it. I was just doing it because the environment, right? You see people around you, and you see that okay, if they are doing it, might as well do it. So started doing it because of that. Did not enjoy it at all. मतलब एकदम मजा नहीं आ रहा था. I locked myself in a room. I'm like, ho gaya bas. Now I'm gonna just focus, leave the phone outside the room, have a laptop, have an internet connection, and I'll watch classes online on YouTube, study, and then clear the exam.
Is this pre-COVID or post-COVID?
This is pre-COVID.
Achha.
This is right, just pre-COVID. So I had the laptop, had YouTube.com. And what's the biggest drug? The biggest drug is the YouTube's recommended section. Okay, it gives
I would have
you-
said external validation, but chal.
No,
I'll let
chalo,
you
we'll
have
get to
this
that
one.
later maybe. But the recommended section is a drug that once you are on it, it's very difficult to come out of it. So, and then I searched how to become a YouTuber because I was consuming a lot of content.
But on
उस समय
YouTube.
तो content था ही नहीं. The word content creator is a very recent term. Or the word influencer, which seems very cool, is a very recent term. Initially, it was YouTuber. कि मेरे को YouTuber बनना है, ये बनना है, वो बनना है. Interestingly, my first sales pitch was to my dad, telling him that let me become a YouTuber. So I was just selling him कि बनने दो, brand deals आएंगे, ये आएंगे, वो आएंगे, and I'm making a lot of money. But yeah, that's how I began. I was like, I'll start studying for it and everything. And I had YouTube in front of me, so I'm just consuming content and how to become a YouTuber. Apparently, I was inside the room to study for my CA exam, but I'm just
Again, apparently.
I come out of the room and मेरे parents are like, "अरे यार बच्चा कितना मेहनत कर रहा है, ये कर रहा है," and I'm just inside watching YouTube content. So that's how I began. So that's how content began here, and it's been 5 years since, and the journey has been fantastic here because content is just one profession, but you learn so much more than just the content side of things. You learn how to place the mic, what's the audio like, what's the video like, what's the background like, where should we place the light, where should we place the camera, a lot of things, right? And these are just external things, but distributing content, putting it out on the internet, what works, what's the consumer persona you're looking at, how do you want to position yourself, what's the distribution angle you're looking at. If you just want to grow on social, how else can you expand? What's the scale you're looking at? Lot of things. But I think over and above, I've realized that you need to, if you've built a distribution of your own, you need to think scale. And I was attending NAS Summit last year in Dubai. And NAS was telling a lot of us ki institutionalize your process. Which means that if you are gone tomorrow, your entire content creation process stops right there. But if you have an institution behind you, even if you are gone or when you're gone, you have a legacy to leave behind. You have things that will carry on even if you're not there.
But the same thing also works for organizations. It's not, I mean, I can only take a hint out of the content creation book and talk about organizations. I told you I love building stuff, right? Building communities, building ecosystems, building organizations. The exact same logic would also apply, right? It doesn't. So I've also been actively, I think, trying to take myself out of the Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the spotlight, because that spotlight's never good. The reason why this movement, and I'll come back to you on this, the reason why I think this movement is important because people find a voice in it. People find themselves. There's a certain amount of relatability. Even if they can hate the name. Yeah, okay, relevant hai ki nahi, that's not the point. At least conversations to ho raha hai. At least it's striking up new ways of looking at the city, celebrating smaller wins, achievements, celebrating people who are not even there in the city but are from the city and are doing cool things. Aaj hi subah ko I saw NASA's posted about this girl in San Francisco who's made a flying boat, but the girl's from Calcutta. And she's talking, and he was saying, कि यार, she used to, study. It was not even very good at physics, but she wrote apparently some 580 cold emails, and one of those people replied for an internship, and she went and worked and did an internship somewhere, and then went and worked at NASA, and now she's built a flying boat. Calcutta ka ladki hai. So I want to come back to something on this. So obviously you are an optimist, and that is clear enough, I think, just from talking to you. I want to talk about reinvention. Okay? And this is, I just realized while you were telling me all this, ki, yaar, you obviously reinvented yourself. I saw a couple of your new, content pieces which were, very hard hitting, sort of a different format from what I've seen you doing before. And I could relate. I could put myself in there, being an elocutionist and being a person from the spoken word space. I found a lot of, let's say, solace in that content. No, I think there was one about staying home.
Yeah,
I think
staying in.
Staying in
over clubbing.
Yeah, staying in over clubbing. I love going out. I mean, let's be honest also. But I don't think I like clubbing very much, but I do like people. So, wherever there's swaths of people, I love it. And I love dancing. So for me, there's no issues on that. But that one particular piece of content about staying in, I think I had just decided to stay in and not meet a bunch of people one night. And I was in Berlin when this was happening. And I saw that content, and timing to बहुत गजब था यार. मतलब it really hit me deep down inside. And I think, it's a calm, steady voice, and there's you can hear the voiceover. Your voice had a sort of a meditative, quality to it. Short video.
It's like this.
Yeah, ASMR.
That is how you talk.
Now suddenly the Make Calcutta Relevant Again podcast.
Welcome to Make Calcutta Relevant Again with Meghdut and Deepak. So that's how you do it.
Good. Yeah. So, but that helps, right? Maybe I should go back to my elocution days and start making some. People will hate on me because I will not end up doing it. But you're doing it, and you've reinvented the format. You've reinvented your own style of doing work.
I was like, adult friendships. That is what it is.
So I started recording like this, and it sort of came out really well. Because this thing is brilliant, right? So the quality was fantastic. I was like, I have the audio. This will do wonders if I put it out on the internet. Let's see what to do. I had a bunch of footages regarding the reel. So I just compiled most of the footages depending on what I'm saying. Added a music to it from the Instagram library and put it out. It's at 4.9 million right now on Instagram. But audio उड़ गया उसका because I had used Instagram music library का audio, and that music is no longer available on Instagram. So it's at 400k likes. So 406k likes पे है, 499k shares है, and it has more than 2000 comments or something. So that hit really well. Like it went out of the park. And
was that your best content up until that point?
No, that was
but top 3
the proudest content.
Nice.
It was not the best content, that was the proudest content because I felt really nice about it. A lot of shares, a lot of DMs, like DMs were filled, like so hard hitting, you should watch this, ye wo. The audio went off. So it's stuck at 4.9 million because you can't really hear my voice in the music.
Okay.
What I did again was use the same audio, integrate the music now in the main edit of the video, put it out again on Friendship Day. 7th or 8th of August, I don't know. Put it out again. It's again at 1.5 million. And now people are using the audio to make the reels for their reels.
Ah, interesting.
Right? So that's when I thought the first proof of concept established हुआ where it worked, the first piece of content. And then I thought कि कुछ और करते हैं. Second piece of content was moving out of home. Again, very relatable.
For a lot of people, right?
Right. I moved out from
maybe
from
for
Calcutta.
a lot of people in Calcutta as well, because a lot of people find purpose in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world.
For sure. So
I'm sure a lot of people from there would have been from Calcutta. Who were sharing it and talking
So
about.
I put out a piece of content about moving out of your city, and I said that the narrative was it's not easy moving out. So basically, it's not easy leaving the comfort of your house, your whatever, your parents, your siblings, your friends. Moving out and establishing and setting up a new life in a new city is not easy. That hit hard. Then staying in over clubbing happened. Then overthinking wala reel happened, which is at 2.1 million right now. So my point is, it clicked. The format seemed to be clicking. And you have to understand that why are people on Instagram? What do they want? The consumption pattern is such that most of the people on Instagram are not creators. Right? Creators are also consumers. So 100% of the population on Instagram are consumers. ठीक है? उसके अंदर a fragment of it are creators. And maximum people, I think everybody is a consumer, right? But जो creators नहीं है, वो ना, they don't want to listen to a very serious piece of content. They don't want to see ki this is what's going wrong in your life. I know what's going wrong in my life. You don't have to reiterate it. Just show me something funny or show me something hard hitting. Maybe a dog reel could be value adding to me.
I love my cat videos. My Instagram feed is just basically
Yeah.
cat videos and like,
I
guitar
have
licks.
I have baby videos now where there
like
are वो
that also.
पानी पिला दो वो वाला all those
No, but
content pieces
वो
of
गले में
content.
कर देन
वो नहीं आता यार
नहीं
मेरे
आता
को, वो नहीं आता.
अरे ASMR अच्छा
अंकल
mic
जी
पे-
अंकल जी
अंकल जी पानी पिला दीजिए. You just have to egg them on. अंदर में तो सब है अंदर में पानी 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 पिला. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that piece of content sort of I have just baby content coming in and just like babies sitting and then falling. It's very funny. Yeah.
अगर तेरे को फिर से अपने को reinvent करना है, do you think it will happen organically or do you think it's something that you will plan
Driven out it'll be out of somewhere.
out of somewhere?
Haan. It'll be out of a place where so now I've tried to be very spontaneous with life here. In the sense that I was always a planner. I used to always sit with a diary and a pen, have a Google Calendar and write things कि यार 2:30 बजे MCRA का shoot है, 5 बजे मेरे को इससे मिलना है, 8 बजे मेरे को इससे मिलना है, because that works for me. Even till date it works for
It
me.
works for me also.
Yeah. But other than that, I think I need to take life on the fly. I don't really want to plan a lot of things. यार 26-27 साल प्लान कर लिया, नहीं चला कुछ भी.
तभी
तो
चल रहा है
बिना
तभी-
प्लान के चलते हैं ना यार, देखते हैं. Let's try that also. And I think one thing that has worked for me over the last 26-27 years is the word देखते हैं. क्या हो जाएगा, मैक्सिमम क्या हो जाएगा, देखते हैं करके. What's the worst that is at stake?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So if I'm trying to say try to do a lot of new things or trying to invent a lot of things, maximum क्या होगा, I'll fail.
Yeah.
Failure से मेरी बहुत अच्छी दोस्ती है. So I don't mind doing it and failing, and because I've always you like building things. My first startup was at 19. I started content on my own.
Wait, this is when we started talking.
Yeah,
right? That was the first time.
Yeah. So it's
Funnily enough, I didn't realize
8 years back.
I didn't realize that was you until like much later. I think we
Okay,
met.
I'll tell you. I had reached out to you on LinkedIn also, and there's no response from you.
Ah shit. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
I have to bring this up.
Now,
I have to.
Have you been-
somebody told me that you should reach out to. I was working on this startup of mine, Career Kida, in the edtech space, out of Calcutta only. And I was in college and I was a college entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that, hey, you should meet Meghdut. He's a fantastic guy. And let me tell you, people talk very highly of you, and rightly so. Okay? So they're like, you should. There's a very interesting guy, Meghdut. You should meet him. He's fantastic. Y'all can work things out. Brilliant. Let's reach out to him. I'm like, number pass on कर दो, मैं बात करता हूँ. He said number नहीं है, but social पे reach out कर ले, और मैं जुगाड़ कर देता हूँ number का. I'm like, okay, give me pass on his number or whatever. I'm like, number तो मिलने में time लगा. I was like, let's not waste time. Let's reach out to him on LinkedIn or whatever. And reached out to you on LinkedIn. And there was no response. I was like, यार ये लोग बड़ा बोल रहे थे कि ये मस्त बंदा है. He'll reach out, respond to
घटिया बंदा है यार, reply नहीं
घटिया बंदा है यार, reply नहीं कर रहा यार.
Reply
ये
नहीं
what is
कर
this? ये क्या मतलब हुआ? But then I think that's when we first started speaking. Your response was much later, I think 2-3 months later, where you responded to the message.
I must have missed it. And
Yeah.
I said sorry to you about this much
Yeah,
later
yeah,
also.
yeah,
I said,
you did, you
man,
did.
it was not like मैं शायद पढ़ा होगा
I have to
यार
put
कि
this out.
ये this revenge कब से चल रहा था मन में इसका 8 साल से ये revenge चल रहा है
That's
कि
why I
यार
told Meghdut, let's shoot an episode.
इसलिए that was the whole
I
reason.
wanted to bring this out. I was like, Meghdut,
ठीक है.
I will call Meghdut out on his podcast.
ठीक है, चल,
Let's
yeah.
just do it.
Yeah, I actually enjoy getting called. It actually gives me a huge kick, with my best friends also when we
Yeah.
sit down, we make it a let's take each other's trip.
Yeah.
Because, we have normally in lives, when you do good things, when you said, people say good things about you.
Yeah.
Good, I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that people, think about me or think about me when they need help or, maybe I've helped them at some point or done something for them and they say good things. But what it does is it's normal human behavior that your ego gets inflated. And सभी के साथ होता है. No matter what anybody says, people दो जन आके कुछ अच्छा बात बोल दिया ना, then suddenly
चढ़ा देते हैं लोग फालतू
बहुत
का.
चढ़ा देते हैं and then suddenly you're like मैं तो मतलब सबसे बड़ा
और
मसीहा.
ये कंटेंट में बहुत, इंडस्ट्री में बहुत है.
सब कुछ industry, every single industry
और हर
has it.
industry में है यार.
ठीक है, every
हाँ,
single industry
हाँ
has
यार,
it.
ये
You look
तो-
at entertainment, you look the moment you get a little bit of fame, little bit of power, little bit of influence, suddenly you're like the king of the world. So when I sit down with my best friends, the way that you do your adult friendships, my adult friendships are basically sitting down और एक जन एक का trip लेते हैं सारा रात मिलके. And that I think has such a grounding effect on life.
Yeah.
all of these guys that I'm talking about, they're all doing great things in life, and we rip them apart, each other, including myself. I would, because we open ourselves, and I think I said this. I think on the other day I was writing a post about an experience that I had, and I was being very self-aware. I think writing, and I said that human beings are the sum total of their idiosyncrasies, their insecurities, and their vulnerabilities. And I wrote that sentence, and in my head I was like, that sounds really hard hitting. That would sound really good in DK's voice, perhaps. Like it's
Okay, I'll repeat. What did you say?
So human beings
Human beings
are the sum total
are the sum total
of their insecurities,
of their insecurities,
vulnerabilities,
and idiosyncrasies.
nice. फाड़ दिया.
Voice over artist बन जाओगे.
Voice over, अभी शुरू कर. Yeah, so I wrote that, and then I realized that, yeah, in our lives, we take ourselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, कुछ थोड़ा सा success मिल गया ना, and all of success is very relevant, right? Yesterday, what I used to think was successful, or what I would consider myself to be successful for, today I don't think that anymore. I spent the most purposefully driven year of my life, and I don't think people really realize that, because even you were surprised when I told you, I just came back after 5 months, because content has been put out, this stuff that we had recorded and shot before. But I think human beings are constantly on a journey of self-discovery. They're always figuring out how to do life better. You said कि free flow में करते हैं ना, ये free flow का ad नहीं है, ये जाके आके वर सूरज को ये free flow का ad जैसे बिकना नहीं है. But there is a lot of self-discovery that's constantly happening in our lives. We just have to be thoda sa aware कि we need to take the best out of those moments and use it in our lives. What I figured this year, for example, and I'll give you a direct example of that, कि I've been trying to be there for the city that I love, that I talk about highly, be an ambassador. But Kolkata में रह के Kolkata का ambassador, किसके पास मैं ambassador जाके करके जा रहा हूँ? It doesn't make sense, because I'm doing the same mistake that academics most of the time do. They're talking in their own bubbles. That people in politics do. They're talking in their own bubbles. People from the right are only talking to other people in the right. People from the left are only talking to people in the left. And then it becomes sort of these.
It's like it's like ripping apart the education system, but the minister doesn't care.
But the minister
it's not reaching the minister.
It's not reaching anybody.
The department.
It's not reaching anybody. Yeah. So I figured that if I have to be a brand ambassador for brand Calcutta, then I can't do it just by being in Calcutta. उसके लिए तो ऐसे तो पैसा लगेगा, resources लगेगा, networks लगेगा, but more importantly, perception change. Perception change only happens when big things are happening, and there's external validation, external inputs are coming in from outside, which is why this year I've been spending a lot of time in Europe as well, connecting cities in Europe with Calcutta, creating projects.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll actually tell you something. I'll tell you something that I'm doing now. For example, we are doing a twin cities concept with Berlin. I opened an office in Berlin now as well, where the idea will be that, you remember last time we had met was during the CCU festival.
Yes.
And that was something quite fun, right? That we pulled up. I don't know if you were there on the day of the festival.
I wasn't there on the day of I left. I
remember you were there the night before the festival when we were doing full on, planning chal raha hai. Tab DK aaya, I think that was very cool. I remember that was the last time I think we had met.
Yeah.
The day of the festival was absolute madness. I don't think in my life I've ever experienced that kind of outpouring of joy, and people feeling like they belong, that they've arrived, and it was everybody. There was a common mood amongst those 4,000 people, out of which 3,000 people who had bought tickets and come.
Sweet.
And if I don't know how many people know about the CCU festival here, but it was basically one big blast to make a strong, brand messaging around Make Calcutta Relevant Again across all industries. Design, music, sustainability, tech, everything was being spoken about, but from the lens of Calcutta. We never spoke about this. For example, there were soft commitments of 450 crore rupees on that day for the investment meets that were happening. 86 investors had come out from all across the country in Calcutta just to come and put their money where their mouth is and get, not just these startups were not just from Calcutta, but from all around the country. More than 1,400 startups had applied. And out of that, about 80, 90, I think, startups came to Calcutta, and they had these pitching events happening all day. Simultaneously, यहाँ पे techno music का event चल रहा है, simultaneously design का conference चल रहा है. People, there was something in it for everyone, irrespective of which field of study or discipline or interest they were coming from. But वो खत्म करने के बाद, what I realized was that it was largely done because of optics. And it was, again, purposefully so, rightly so. We pulled off a festival of that scale and size.
Yeah.
in a couple of months, with a couple of months of planning. I was very proud of it. But later on, when I started asking people, yeah, what do you think of it? The answers after it were all like, yeah, it was great in the moment. We really enjoyed ourselves, learned a lot, but we did not continue that, the messaging that had happened on that day. We did not continue into creating more impact on a day-to-day basis after that. So I was like, yeah, ये तो failure हो गया. इतना बड़ा शोर तो बहुत मचा है. We had such a good time. So many people came and spoke about it. And I think we had about 200 speakers who had come from all across the country. We had more than 100 artists who had come in from, again, all over the country, but represent to talk about Calcutta. So I was like, yaar, ye nahi chalega. Optics ke liye, I refuse to do things only for optics anymore. And this is where I think that shift, this is my 32-year-old self talking now. I think I only want to do things with a purpose. I only want to do things where there is a long-standing impact, not just in my life, but in the lives of people around. So the next CCU festival, I'm not doing one in 2023 anymore. The last one was in 2022. Next one will be in 2024, but it will last for an entire year. And what I'm doing is I'm connecting two cities, right? Because I think that external validation really helps. So what we're doing is Berlin. If you look at Berlin, I think it's the centerpiece of cultural activity in Europe. It is the coolest city in terms of the creative industries that are there, and some of the greatest creative entrepreneurs that have come from this particular city.
I was just speaking to a bunch of people about Calcutta and the pace and everything. And I was just asking ki yaar, Calcutta ka, what do you think about Calcutta and everything? And I also had this conversation with Papa. And I've had
He's
this
Calcuttan.
Yeah. So I've had this conversation with him ki yaar, what do you think of the pace of the city? He's like, it's comparatively slow. Let me put it very clearly. Comparatively slower maybe than Bombay or Delhi or whatever. But you need such cities. You can't really negate the pace of the city just because it's a little slower than the other cities.
Right.
Because how else do you expect to find balance? If every city is just hustling and bustling with work and people and everything, how else do you expect to find balance? Where do you go to find balance then? Imagine if mountains are so commercialized, there are 10,000 people every single mountain, and they're trying to set shop during the expedition. You will not enjoy the mountains. You're like, yaar, yahi to main shanti ke liye aaya tha, aur yahi pe sare log hai. So it just, balance is important. And I've just been trying to think about, it's like a content piece that I'm trying to think of, is life has a very interesting way of balancing itself out. It just balances out like automatically. Some things happen in extremes, and then some things you just come back to your own level. And then something negative happens, then you come back to your own level. So if something happens, the opposite is bound to happen.
And look at artists, look at creative people in general. They need that space, that empty space, that negative space which is bereft of activity.
Boredom. I was coming to boredom.
Coming back to boredom. But Calcutta is great then. So then don't you think in the reinvention of Calcutta, why was I asking about reinvention of yourself? I'm thinking now for the reinvention of a city. It needs boredom. It needs space where artists can come and grow.
Yeah, but wo na, usme problem kya, I'll tell you. Problem kya hai na, ki people don't see boredom as a good thing. So to propagate the idea of a boredom being a good thing, it becomes, so I'll give you a very simple example.
Because it's a hyper-capitalistic world. Because the whole point of that is...
The idea is hustling. Why are you sitting? Productivity guilt hota hai. If I'm sitting just not doing anything, people around me are like, ye karta kya hai yaar? ये तो खाली बैठ के सिर्फ दीवार को देख रहा, छिपकली यहाँ से यहाँ पहुंच गई. मतलब, what are you doing? Why are you not doing anything? So that productivity guilt is always there. Whereas boredom, imagine this, right? You're cooking, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, and there's complete silence. But you're like, nahi yaar, sirf cooking nahi karna hai. I'll play a podcast in the background. If I'm, say, working, some people prefer some background music so that they're able to work properly. Or if you are having lunch, for example, you'll have YouTube on the side, you'll have Netflix on the side. Why? Why are we filling silence with noise all the time? Why can't we embrace?
Used to it. We're not used to hearing our own voices in our head.
Yeah.
Because we are...
And I don't get it. Like, you just if you, in case you have lunch with, if you're watching something while having lunch, just try and have lunch for just lunch and you. That's it. Nothing else. Just enjoy every bite that you are having. And try not using your phone. Try not having your phone on the table. And just try and be in the moment, whatever you are doing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It will take time.
But it takes I think people are afraid of the silence. You know? They say there was a song now before you fear of the dark. I think there should be something about fear of
the
silence.
Yeah.
Maybe your second part of the boredom content piece should be
could
about
be.
the fear of silence.
Yeah. I mean, why are we scared? I don't know.
Because we are afraid of our own thoughts. I think solitude, and I'll say that for myself as well. I told you I derive most of my energy from people. So obviously, when there's no people, what am I doing? The only thing I can do is either find activities which are like watching TV, music, whatever, or I have to talk to myself. And conversations with self is when the truest form of people come out.
It's also a little dark when you think about yourself. So people start overthinking.
Yeah.
And you just get random ideas, and then you just put it out on your whatever Notion or calendar or just pen and paper. Just write those random ideas down, and maybe see where your thoughts take you. I just did an experiment where I just walked out on a Sunday morning, and I'm just walking around the streets of Mumbai and just thought ki dekhte hain, let's just find inspiration, maybe just walk around, see people, just observe, with no idea of making content, like nothing. I just had my phone and my earphones, just listening to music and just walking. I noticed very simple things, yaar. Matlab, three people sitting together on a chai tapri having chai on a Sunday afternoon. The rickshaw walas, the auto rickshaw walas sitting inside their auto and having their lunch. And that's where the thought sort of birthed in me, which said, when does the auto rickshaw wala take a break? Or when can the rickshaw wala take a break?
I mean, between two rides, I guess.
10 minutes?
हाँ, ऐसा कुछ.
वो intentional break नहीं है ना. It's
नहीं,
because
intentional नहीं है.
he's not getting a customer. When can he take a break? He's like, no यार, आज तो Sunday, आज तो weekend off लेना है bro. वो तो नहीं है ना. He's not.
But that's the privilege also.
It's privilege, yeah.
Privilege.
So breaks is a very privileged thing. If you're able to take a break, then please do.
If you had to have this conversation with your mom or your dad, what do you think they'd say?
So good question. That's a good question. I think off late, we've started to have good conversations. Because I now live away from family, so बहुत बार conversations हो नहीं पाता है. But whenever I'm home and all of us are together, I think we have a lot of conversations happening about a lot of topics. And everybody shares their nuggets of experience, and everybody is like, this is what... And dad has his own set of experiences. Mom has her own set of experiences. I started working when I was 19, so very early, I feel. And I have my own share of experiences, whatever. But I feel that now it goes down really well. It doesn't get ugly.
It used to get ugly.
It used to not have... I used to not have conversations.
There was no conversation, and now there is some conversation. So
which is okay, because now that the other person is willing to listen. So that's okay. That's a good starting point.
बहुत कुछ सोचा लिया. I don't know if that's the right way to say it in Hindi.
बहुत कुछ सोच लिया, whatever.
बहुत कुछ सोच लिया. But I'm glad I had a sparring partner, I guess, on the thinking front.
Yeah.
Again, I asked you that question if you had expected this conversation to turn out this way before you came, because I didn't expect it to turn out this way.
Neither.
And I don't think we've tried this format at all as well. It's always been very free flow with the Make Calcutta Relevant Again podcast. But I just realized that every other episode we've done before has been with two guests and two hosts. And nobody ever looked each other in the eye when they were talking. Briefly. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of, commotion that's happening. I'm not comparing. I'm not saying, we've had a good time. We've enjoyed. This is a very special episode because I think it will give birth to the next series of podcasts that I will do for sure.
Sweet.
My only thing is I also hope that the next time that I meet Deepak Pareek, I meet a more evolved version, more thoughtful version, more purposeful version, maybe with a few more answers and a lot more questions.
Sweet. Absolutely likewise, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And
as you say, your show.
Your show. Your show. My show. It's my show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, loved being here. I don't think we've spoken itna in detail before. because wherever we met and whenever we met, it was a different setting and a different construct.
A lot of energy from outside.
Yeah, a
and
lot
like
of noise again.
a lot of noise.
This is a very silent setup, and it makes you think.
Yeah.
So, and you're a great podcaster, man. I'm being very honest. You're a wonderful podcaster, and you should do this. Watch. I mean, jitna bhi time mile, please do this,
Hmm.
because I feel that you listen, you have great questions, and you come back to your original question. मेरा वो chain of thought रहता ही नहीं है. As a podcaster, I forget कि मैंने क्या पूछा था और मैं क्या इसमें भाग गया हूँ. I just go on the flow. But you come back, which means that you're intently listening, which is a great characteristic to have.
I'll keep that in mind.
Please do.
I hope I find enough time to do this. I wish I could do this wherever I was, but I think that mobile setup of taking a podcast with me
Yeah.
might be an interesting idea. I'll see if I can
Get
do that.
get two
the
wireless mics and
Yeah.
get two phones just connected to them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you, Deepak.
Thank you so
and
much, man.
See you.
Pleasure's all mine.
See you very soon. Thanks everybody for tuning into this very special episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast. Hope you're doing everything in your ability to make your city, our beloved city, a little bit more relevant every single day. Cheers and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure. और अगर अभी तक आप देख रहे हो तो सब्सक्राइब करके चले जाओ. काम धाम कर लो कुछ, ठीक है ना? Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.